with your March version of Open Forum. It's the 3rd, and it's the first Wednesday of the month. I'm glad to have you back with us. The beginning of several good hours of political discussion, starting here and going straight through to Ask the Governor over the whole Millennium Radio Network. Eric Scott and Governor Chris Christie, 1 hour from now. The sure and steady Paul Soretti sitting by the board and taking your calls tonight at 732-364-5830. We're also streaming live on the web at WOBMAM.com. Our guests tonight, Berkeley Township Mayor Jason Verrado and Congressman John Adler, our 3rd District Representative down on Capitol Hill. And we're going to be speaking with him right after this.
Now, back to Open Forum on 1160 WOBM AM.
And taking your calls at 732-364-5830 and streaming live on the web at WOBMAM.com. My name is Tom Mongelli. Welcome. Lots to go over tonight. Lots of issues that are starting to surface, most of them economic here in Ocean County and all over the region. But we are going to be speaking first with our man on Capitol Hill, who has been taking care of business down there since a year ago November. And Congressman John Adler, welcome to Open Forum, and thanks for joining us.
Tom, thrilled to talk to you tonight.
Congressman, you have had about a year and change to get accustomed to life on Capitol Hill. I just need to ask you, first of all, how is it different than you thought it was going to be, and how is it like the state legislature?
Well, I would say it's different in that I'm astonished at the amount of partisanship and gridlock and the sense of entitlement that some people who have been in Congress for too long feel and don't even know they feel. I'm astonished they think they deserve a pay raise. And so last year I was able to vote against a pay raise for Congress, but I was shocked that anybody would think that in these tough economic times, when seniors are struggling, when businesses are struggling, that Congress should deserve a pay raise. So, and that was a bipartisan vote. The Republicans and Democrats, who don't seem to get along or treat each other with respect in Washington, could somehow get along on this selfish issue and vote themselves a pay raise. That told me a whole lot. And to see some of the meanness between Republicans and Democrats about problems that are American issues, not partisan issues in any way. Our small business community is not Democrat or Republican. It's Americans struggling to try to achieve their American dream. So I've been astonished at the meanness in Congress and the sense of entitlement from people that have frankly just been there too long.
The bipartisanship works both. It's a two-edged sword. Parties can work together to create solutions, or they can completely gridlock everything. And I'm sure that you knew that in the state legislature as well.
Well, I did. I was there for a number of years. I was able to pass a law for New Jersey that banned smoking in most indoor places. That was very good for public health. It was good for employers because their employees weren't getting sick. It was good for people that might have any sort of health condition that would affect their ability to go into a restaurant and breathe clean air. That was bipartisan. The governor's current chief of staff, Rich Bagger, was my Republican sponsor. I was the Democrat sponsor of a bill that was good for public health. I passed another bill that was obvious in retrospect that said that when a corrupt public official was convicted of a corruption offense or pled guilty or plea bargained, they would lose their pension and they would have to spend a minimum of 1 year in jail. So we wouldn't have any slaps on the wrist. Again, that was bipartisan. There are ways we should solve problems. And I'm sort of surprised in Washington there aren't enough people of good faith and common sense just trying to solve problems. Every bill I've introduced in Congress, I've tried very hard to make it a bipartisan bill, and everyone has been bipartisan. I think that's what America expects. And I think a lot of people across our country are frustrated that we have elected officials, certainly at the federal level, that have forgotten that they're there to solve American problems and not to take care of themselves, or not to stand up just for their own political party. So that's been a surprise. It's been disappointing. But I got to tell you, there are freshman members of Congress from both parties who think they are there to serve America and not to serve a party boss, party leadership, or their own selfish interests. So I think there is some hope that some of the new folks elected more recently have a spirit of cooperation and respect for their obligations under the Constitution to help their country.
I took the liberty some time back of characterizing you on these airwaves at one point as a Democrat from Camden County who thinks like an Ocean County Republican. Yeah, your voting on the major issues indicates this independent streak that you had in the legislature. No, and a long list of initiatives supported by your own party: the health care bill, TARP 2, the omnibus spending plan, federal debt ceiling. Now, at what point do you either get in line with them or risk the alliances that you've been able to build in the House?
Well, I don't think I was elected to go do some speaker's bidding or minority leader's bidding. I think I was elected to identify the concerns of the people of our district, the veterans, the seniors, the small business owners, the folks that have jobs where they haven't seen a wage increase in a number of years, and to make sure that our national security is kept first and foremost so that we don't ever have a real risk of a foreign invasion or have a risk of a terrorist attack like we had 8 years ago now. So I take those obligations very seriously, and I've not yet had party bosses try to tell me what to do, and I'll feel bad for them the first time they try, because I'm going to keep voting my conscience, and that means voting what I think is right for our district and for our country, and not just for the short term, but for the long term. And I think that's smart politics, but more importantly, I think it's good government. It's what the people of America deserve.
Congressman, the health care reform issue is one of the things that concerns a lot of people in Ocean County, not the least of whom are the seniors. I understand that there is a redacted version of this, a slightly smaller version that, and reports are that 9 people in the House of Representatives have acceded to it. They've changed their vote from a no to a yes with plans. Are you one of them?
I haven't yet seen the final version. I have said from the very beginning, I thought it was critical for us to have real health care reform that would help businesses be able, in the next few years, to have more affordable insurance available for them to purchase for their employees, because it's really one of the big drags on our economy over the last several years. I talked to Rick Reynolds from the Southern Ocean County Chamber of Commerce, who tells me that he sees premium increases of 15, 20, 25, 30% for his members, who are really the backbone of the economy in Ocean County, and they can't afford that. And I didn't think the House bill that I voted against had the sort of cost containment measures that the members of the Southern Ocean County Chamber of Commerce needed so that they could continue to employ people and be the economic engine of the county. So I'm looking to see what the final version has, if it has cost containment, if it makes insurance more affordable for businesses for 5 years from now and for 15 years from now, then it's something I'll consider voting for. But if it doesn't have cost containment, and the way the House bill, in my opinion, the first House bill did not have cost containment, I can't vote for it. I'm not going to vote for it, and it doesn't matter who comes to me and urges me to vote for it, unless it's good for business, for our economy, for our future as a society. I can't vote for it.
Congressman John Adler is our guest on Open Forum for this opening segment. And you mentioned small business and different initiatives that you've undertaken to try and shore up the defenses for small business, Congressman. Tell us about that amendment to the Wall Street Reform and Consumer Protection Act. I thought that was really good.
Well, I'm going to lose half the audience talking about this, but sadly, Congress a number of years ago passed what was generally a good law to prevent a recurrence of those problems with these big companies like Enron and WorldCom that had cooked their books and defrauded thousands and thousands of shareholders and eventually left the companies in bankruptcy and caused massive employment for their employees. That was a big problem, and Congress tried to address that. In trying to address it, it went too far in terms of regulating small companies that are trying to go public and sell stock on Wall Street. And what that did when they overregulated that market sector was that companies didn't go public, didn't get more money coming in, and therefore didn't grow the way the same sort of companies grew successfully in the 1990s and helped to have a real tech boom for our economy. Or those companies left America and went public in London on the stock market there and didn't come back to our country. Now, the last thing we need right now in a recession is to chase companies overseas. I think that's already happened over the years with manufacturing that's declined in our country. And now to have the financial regulations frustrate people that are trying to grow their business and maybe become the next Microsoft, the next Dell, the next AT&T or Verizon, and really be successful and grow our economy. So I tried to undo some of that harm and make it more realistic so we didn't chase companies out of our country or frustrate their legitimate effort to try to sell stock and grow their companies the old-fashioned way here in our country.